इस ग्रुप का पर्पस क्या है या इस ग्रुप को बनाया क्यों गया है? इट्स जस्ट सो दैट in last 16 years I've been running my family business. I have running my family investments and everything. So I have through this period I have gained informations, I have gained knowledge which is helping me to do better choices. But at the same time, if I look at my wife or many of my friends or some of my colleagues, they have been so busy in study in their life. They have so busy in doing UGs, PGs, fellowships, super specializations, that they have forgotten the basics of finance. They just in a cycle, they are going to the job, earning money, coming back, just going back to the job, but they have forgotten how to invest that money, how to use that money. That is the biggest question over there. So coming back to the question, actually, what is an asset? Asset is something that has a monetary value. It can be anything. That poll was to ask that in India, most of the time we think real estate is an asset, but it can be anything. Anything that has a monetary value is something that we can call it, okay, this is my asset. So there are multiple classifications to it also. Like there is a classification, we call it as liquid assets and illiquid assets. What is liquid assets and what is illiquid assets? Liquid assets simply means आपने उसको जितनी जल्दी उसको पैसे में कन्वर्ट करके यूज़ कर सकते हैं, उसको हम बोलेंगे लिक्विड एसेट्स, बिना लॉस कमाए हुए बहुत ज़्यादा. Like if you convert it immediately without losing much of value, then it is called as highly liquid assets. Take an example of gold. Gold is a highly liquid asset. You go to the market, you hedge it, you fund it, and you get your cash. You come back with the cash and you have a value attached to it. Take an example of fixed deposits. Fixed deposit, if you break into your bank, by evening it will come to your account. You will have probably lost around 0.5 to 1% of it, but you will have converted into cash. But what is illiquid assets? They cannot be converted easily into money without losing value. Now I understand whatever example I'll give, there will be an exceptions to it, but it is a general account. Like you take an example of real estate. You cannot convert it easily into a complete payout. Suppose you have bought a 50 lakh rupees land, flat, house or whatever. You decide I want to sell it. This process may take months. So it is considered an illiquid asset. Similarly, in the form of life insurance payouts, public provident funds, you have invested into it, you have created an asset over the years, but you cannot take it out, so it's kind of illiquid assets. The other classification of it is appreciating assets and depreciating asset. Remember, asset has a monetary value, nothing else. So it can appreciate over time, it can depreciate over time. Appreciating assets are all these investments which we will be discussing: FDs, mutual funds, stocks, real estate. They all can be appreciating. Depreciating assets are mostly your car, furniture. If you go to the market and try to sell your car, as soon as it comes out to the showroom, it has lost 10% of its value. So over the period, it is a depreciating assets. Similarly, sometimes real estate can be depreciating asset. You bought it at a very high price. After a point, you decided I want to sell it, but the nearby mall, the nearby structures have closed up, so it can be depreciated. So any asset can appreciate over time. Similarly, unless they are a fixed interest assets or something, they are giving you a fixed interest, they can depreciate also. Like stocks, mutual funds, they can also depreciate. So there can be a depreciating assets. Even in fact, cash is a depreciating asset. If you have kept 1 lakh rupees cash in your locker, आफ्टर अ ईयर, सिंस द इन्फ्लेशन, हर चीज़ का प्राइस 4 से 6% बढ़ जाएगा, तो वो 1 लाख रुपए का वैल्यू 4% घट के 96,000 रुपये तक आ चुका है. 6% घट गया तो 94,000. मतलब आप अगर जो अफोर्डेबिलिटी आपकी जो 1 लाख रुपए की थी, नेक्स्ट ईयर अब आप वो सेम सामान 94,000 या 94,000 या 96,000 का खरीद पा रहे हो. So that is what we call as depreciating asset. Even cash is a depreciating asset. Coming to the poll that I conducted, what are the types of asset? Most of you found real estate as a very, very good type of asset. everyone ticked real estate is an asset, real estate is an asset. But now अभी तक आपको ये समझ में आ गया, there are multiple types of an asset. First is cash. Cash is always an asset. You need not convert it. You have money, you go buy things, you have an asset. Second, you have equity. What are equity type of assets? Equity type of assets वो होते हैं जो आपको अपने ग्रोथ में अपना पार्टनर बनाए. अगर मेरी कंपनी ग्रो हो रही है तो आप मेरे साथ ग्रो करेंगे. तो शेयर्स ऑफ द कंपनीज जनरली स्पीकिंग आर इक्विटी एसेट्स. दे पार्ट ऑफ योर ग्रोथ. ठीक है, unless you have bought it as a very very high pricing, gaining loss, booking loss or something like that, you are speculators. But if a company grows, in general the stock prices grows over time, so they are called as equity asset. Mutual funds which invest into shares of various companies, they are equity assets because they are part of your growth story. The third type of asset is debt assets, which most of you did not tick into the polls and thought debt means loan. No, in terms of assets, debt assets is not equivalent to taking a loan. Debt assets are something that gives you interest. In the world of finance, if you have said that you have a debt asset, that means you have fixed deposits, you have PPFs, you have national saving certificates. These are what we call as, these give you fixed interest, so these are called as debt assets. Real estate, everyone has ticked correctly, that is an asset obviously. Lastly, commodities,